right, guys, this is Rachelle K, and I am so excited. I'm so excited. I have a guest that I've been trying to get on for a while. His name is Shon Williams, and I'm going to let him come on and tell you guys about him. Thank you guys for joining us. We're talking about grief today and some of the back of the house things that happens. So, Sean, come on in and tell us, give us some information.
So good afternoon. Thank you very much, Rochelle, for inviting me to your podcast. It's a great opportunity for me, and I really appreciate your invite. Um, my name is Shon Williams. I currently reside in Champaign, Illinois. Um, I'm originally from Arkansas, Blytheville, Arkansas, and I came to Champaign. My mom moved here when I was about 5 years old. I have a huge family. We currently have seven brothers, and on my mom's side and sisters, and then on my dad's side altogether, it's about 22 of us. And so
I like Bob.
huge family. I attended Urbana High School here locally in Urbana. I went to the military during my junior year of high school. Went off to Germany. I stayed in Germany for 3.5 years. Then I came back to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where I got out in the 7th Special Forces Group for 2.5 years. Was attached to a psychological warfare unit, right? So the art of the mind. And so I look at things a lot different than a lot of people because of the military training that I absorbed, right? And so when I'm doing like a lot of stuff that's going on with even the business, I own a funeral home here locally in town called Williams Memorial Services. I really started back when I got back to Champaign. I started on a community program to get more Black businesses started, a community partnership with the city of Champaign, the University of Illinois, some local Black business owners, some older guys. I was the first one out of about 30 people to get started within business, starting out with a business grant of $10,000. And my business was a barbershop. And so I opened up a barbershop because I used to cut hair in the barracks with military guys. And I got into school. And as soon as I was about through with my class at Concept, a cosmetology license, I was already set up in place to get my barbershop started. And it was the Whip Hair Designs. I ran that barbershop from about oh, wow. We started that barbershop. I ran that from about 1999 all the way till about 2018. And that's when I
Oh, wow.
closed. Great opportunity there to meet people, meet folks in the community, attached with University of Illinois basketball players, coaching staff, all the way down. I had an interview with the news reporter, and I told him my clientele was so vast. It was all the way from people that knew exactly what they wanted to do in life to people that had no clue, right? And so it was a great opportunity to get pastors and professors together with folks straight from the street. And so it was a good networking opportunity to be able to attach people with resources. And I was plugging people that didn't have a job with people that had jobs and had opportunities to be able to hire on the job. So it was great for the community back then. And then I got into, got my mom a restaurant. We had that for a couple of years right next door, closed that up 2010-ish. Got an opportunity to get in the funeral home business from one of the mentors that had mentored me and got me started in business. And then I took over Williams Memorial Services. That led me into the funeral home business. I mean, to the insurance business where I started. We did 22 funerals that first summer. 17 families didn't have life insurance. Me and my assistant at the time, we started scrambling, trying to figure out why people don't have life insurance. And then we found out that a lot of people were getting turned down in the African American community on life insurance because of existing health conditions like heart attack, stroke, diabetes, felonies, obesity, things that African American people have. But we found insurance companies that wasn't your main carriers that were publicized on television that would cover these folks at a higher risk, right? And so we was able to provide those type of coverages for families and get them secured with insurance. So currently I'm with the insurance provider now. And so I provide insurance. I do training with agents. And then fast forward, I started learning about things that I wasn't doing good right in business. And I started learning about the stock market during COVID. One of my buddies, he owns a clothing store, and he was like, Sean, I owned it. Let's take that back. I bought a club. So I ended up in the funeral home business and I had a club at the same
Oh,
time.
wow.
And so COVID happened and it shut the club business down. So I go to his shop and he see me kind of moping because now I got to shut down this huge operation that I started, huge investment that I made. And he was like, "Look, man," he said, "Man, download this Robinhood app." And I'm like, "What is Robinhood? I don't know anything about it, and I don't want to put anything on my phone." And he's like, "Man, just download it on your phone." And so I invested like $100 and made like $300 in a few weeks. And I'm like, it's something into it. So we're shut down for COVID. I started YouTubing. I started grabbing some courses, and I found out it was like I Am Academy or something like that. And it was about Forex. So I'm trying to learn out what is Forex, what's futures, what's options. And then I started learning it. And then light bulb went off. I'm like, I'm a community guy. And so I'm like, man, our community don't know this. I didn't know it when I was in business, how to reinvest the money that you're making in business and reinvest that in the business. So we started teaching it. And his mom and dad own the church. We started teaching at the church, and then we started offering the classes. I got with another minister that I knew that was teaching penny stocks early on. That he used to try to get me to come to a class. I got with him. He started helping us teach it, and now we teach it currently to retirees, people that's on the retirement realm, that's fearful of retirement, and we teach it all the way down to my youngest kid is 10 years old that we teach it to. And so we got some summer programs. We've been working with Blueprint Partnership with the city of Champaign, teaching in the schools, teaching it through the community. And so that's currently my layout of kind of what I do at this point now.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So, Shon, your position at the funeral home is you are the owner and the director?
So I am the owner, and I have several funeral directors that work for me.
Okay. Okay. So you're the owner. So how much time do you spend actually at the funeral home, you think?
So we're pretty modest. What I spend probably not that much, as much as I probably spend probably 20 hours a week, maybe.
It's cool. Okay, check this out. How many families get to talk to you?
A lot of families get to talk to me. I mean, almost every family speak with me, along with my funeral director. But I do more of the planning side of it, um,
Okay.
and working with families and trying to get it to be affordable for them.
Okay. So tell me something, Sean. When you have those families that don't have insurance for their loved ones, like what's an alternative for that? Is it like taking out a loan? Is it do you guys loan? Like what? And not just necessarily your insurance, your funeral home, but funeral homes. Like if I come there and my loved one is deceased, like what options do I have if I don't have a policy?
So I'm a little different. I'm a lot different, right? Because of the fact that I'm in it, all of those different things, and a community. Remember, I said the barbershop. So let's go with gun violence. I mean, we have an uptick in gun violence that's been happening across the country. I'm dealing with a lot of the younger folks and the younger families where grandma used to bring those kids in to get haircuts from me. Now, all of a sudden, grandson gets killed, and we now have to plan for a funeral. And you never expect a younger person to pass away. So now, what the way I look at it is that it's a budget, right? I sit down with the family. What's your budget? What can we afford to do? And then once they start explaining to me what they can afford to do, then we start trying to pin what we can do. I'm a little bit different because of the fact that just instead of just saying, "Hey, look, you have your bucket list of items that you're trying to do," and a lot of folks want to go all out. They want the horse and they want the carriage, they want the expensive casket, they want the big repast and all of those different things. So what I try to do is fit it within a budget, and so that the family can afford. Um, and a lot of times, families just don't have the means to do it. So it's like going to Walmart and you put all your items in the cart, and I'm the cashier. So now I got to help you find out how you can pay for everything in the cart. And so what I,
Hmm.
what I do is I lead them to how to fundraise, how to reach out for resources, whether if it's local organizations, um, if it's a gun violence funeral. We have it in Illinois, and I think every state almost has it. Is the Attorney General Fund that pays up to $25,000 for any type of homicide, um, where that
So,
the
so listen, Sean, for that fund from the city or the state or whatever it may be, the attorney general, how long does that, can you do a funeral based on somebody getting that, or do you have to actually wait till they get it? I just never understood.
So some states will pay it directly out immediately. I did a funeral for Minnesota, and the lady processed everything immediately. It was expeditious, and so she was able to provide those funds for that particular burial. In Illinois, it's a little bit slower, so it'd be a reimbursement to the family or the family members that pay the funds for the services. And so, I always tell families apply for it, depending on um, the investigation and everything to find out if this person was in the midst of a felony or or um, brought on their own demise, so to speak, that
Mhm.
determines how much money they will provide for, right, for that particular fund. But it's up to $25,000, and so mainly we really focus in on. I mean, I'm the bearer of bad news, so we can't do a traditional burial service. Then we have to resort toward maybe a cremation and a viewing service, and then yeah, viewing service. We just don't go to the cemetery, which ranges anywhere from I say $5,500 to about $7,500, depending on the funeral home you use.
Let me ask you something about cremation and being buried. What do you think about that? Do you think that because some people, well, I've talked to a lot of people and they're concerned about cremation, and then we know that the burial thing costs more, but sometimes is it really about cost, or do people just get the cremation because they want to do it? For me, I asked because my son passed away. He was murdered, and I got the cremation, but I got the cremation because I'm from Illinois. I'm from Chicago, born in Champaign, actually. And then I moved to Atlanta, and that's where he was murdered. However, I knew that I may not live in Atlanta for the rest of my life. So I didn't want to bury him there. And then I didn't want him to be in Chicago by himself, even though we have loved ones there. I wanted him to be with me. So I decided to get him cremated, and he's right here, a little bit of him. So I was just wondering, what do families think about that? What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's based upon you know, religion and, what we've been taught. Hey, we don't believe in we don't believe in cremation. We believe in burial. So I run through that a lot. It's against the family's wishes sometimes. Sometimes, folks, it's about cost. It breaks down to really about cost stuff sometimes. So then we have to go against what the family might want to do or wish to do and have to break down to what they can afford to do. And so,
Yeah.
so my thoughts on it, I mean, to each is their own, I know for me, and I know being in the business, my stepdad just passed away a couple years ago, and we used to have to take people to the crematory and looking at the process of cremation. He told me, hey, look, Shon, don't let nobody cremate me. Right? That was just the process because we seen the behind the scenes process of cremation. So I always tell people to go to your local crematory and actually see the process and see if this is something that you would really want to do, opposed to it being popular, because as African American people, we kind of do things that's cliche-ish and what everybody else is mainstream saying, then we'll do that. And so I always tell people to just check the process out and go behind the scenes, visit a crematory, see what it's like. I mean, for some people, I mean, like yourself, you got your son with you on a necklace. So we'll provide cremation jewelry. And I always tell people, like, go on Amazon, you can find an array of different stuff that's really, really reasonable at a price that you can find something that you might like, and and that might be a better option for you with your loved one being with you. I got folks that say, "Well, I don't want no cremated remains in my house," and with the
Yeah.
spook of having ghosts and stuff like that,
Right.
they feel like that, and so then sometimes, they don't even want the cremated remains at the end. So it's an array of different things that might happen for that process.
So let me tell you about this. So my son, we cremated him, and he's here. But I still want to put him in the ground. Like, or I want to let him be free. I feel like, sometimes like he needs to be free. You know what I'm saying? Like I got him in a jar. Like that's cool. You know what I'm saying? His children and my children, they like it like that. But I'm just trying to explain to him, like one day mama gonna make the decision and I'm gonna do something different. Um, Possibly bury him where my mom is in Chicago, my mom and my dad and my sister, or just let him, every time I go out of town, I take him with me and I just put some ashes in the water. We go by the ocean and, drop some ashes there, but it's a lot of ashes.
Yeah. So it's something called second rights interment. And so second rights interment will be that you can intern his cremated remains inside of, like you said, mom and dad's space. And then you can get an additional head space for him
Okay,
with their
that
remains.
sounds good.
And you have an
I
option.
wasn't aware.
So say if somebody else passed away, right? Then you can bury his cremated remains in the casket with their remains. And
Oh, wow.
then you can get another headstone attached with their headstone. So
Oh,
now
that's really nice.
yeah, so now you have a place to visit, and the friends and the family have a place to visit on Memorial Day or Labor Day or whatever day that folks go out to the cemetery, birthday or
Okay,
something.
that's really good because I wasn't aware. So you taught me something today. So I want to ask you, I'm gonna go into some questions that you may not be prepared for, but I'm gonna ask you because I know you know the answer. So for me, and I'm asking questions that I want the answers to. So organs, right? So we always talk about being an organ donator, right? And it always says, well, I've heard over my lifetime that if you put it on your license, that they may not work as hard to keep you here because they want them organs. And then when my son passed, I was just wondering, like, do they take the organs without you knowing?
So
Yeah, they do.
you want to know my personal opinion about it, right? Um,
Yep.
so I'm gonna give you. I'll keep it 100 with you. So I work with a lot of young people, a lot of young people in the community, and I'm probably the only funeral home guy that tell you don't come to the funeral home. I'm probably the only guy that's out here preaching don't come to the funeral home. And the reason why I say that is because of my thoughts with gun violence. Right, I got a group right now that I work with. We created a couple years ago called A Cry for You. A mom, me and Patricia Avery, she's down in Atlanta now. We started to start this some years ago, back in like 2016. But a couple years ago, I think this was like 2023 or 2022, lady, her son got killed, and she called me and she wanted to come up to my office. And so Bonnie she said, "Shon, I really want to do something for mothers like myself, right?" So we started a grief group called A Cry for You. So right now on Tuesdays, every Tuesday from 6 to 7, I meet with about 25. We just bumped it up to about 27 mothers that lost their kids to gun violence, and we
Hmm.
meet, give grief counseling. Um, I have a social worker, that psychologist that work with us, and we try to give coping skills and different um, mechanisms to deal with grief. And we talk a lot about grief. And we talk about gun violence in the community. And I work with the city, and I work with the state's attorney. I work with senators and um, police chiefs about gun violence, right? And I preach this. Um, and so my thoughts about the whole mechanism, and I'm into the stock market, so I understand. I follow this stuff, right? So I my personal opinion about just first starting with the organ donor program, it is a great program, right? Because it's to save lives, and it could save multiple lives from the donations. My other side of it is that we get no financial benefit out of it, right?
Right.
Because this is the problem. Uh, um, so I just told some kids, I think it was in May, it was right before school was out. And so I'm going to give you my whole backdrop. So the record industry pumps this music into the African American youth, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Kill somebody, show them with the guns, show 'em,
Hmm.
like the car back here. You should get that tomorrow. You don't have to put any work into it. Sell the drugs, this type of lifestyle. And they promote that on social media. They promote that. And I remember I told you I was in psychological warfare unit. So I see the whole propaganda and the whole marketing to younger people, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and so what I explained to the young folks, I said, hey, look, I was in a class and I said, hey, what's your name? He said, my name's Kenyatta. What's your name back here? Your name is Marcus. I said, okay, Marcus, I'm the record industry, right? I listen to your raps, right? I know you'll never make the Billboard charts, but what I do understand is that you talking about killing Marcus Kenyatta, and Marcus is talking about killing Kenyatta. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sign a key person life insurance policy on you, right? Because you are important to my business. And I'm going to get a $10 million to $30 million life insurance policy on you because the likelihood of one of you guys killing each other is highly likely, right? So then,
Right.
and I explained this to my mothers too. So then what's going to happen is that when you guys kill each other, I'm not obligated to give that money to the family. That's my money because you were part of my business, and I'm gonna have to use that money to go find another Kenyatta or another Marcus, right? And I told
Mm-hmm.
the kids, take that, and I said, you guys probably don't even understand. 210 rappers got killed this year, and we're not even into the month of June yet. So 5 months into the year, we're down 210 rappers across the country. I said, do 210 times 10 million. And you tell me who won.
Jesus.
Okay.
Woo!
So then
Yeah.
we take that. And even as black people, we're spiritual people, right? So mom's son, top rapper in the town, he gets killed. People won't let mom go to the back because they're saying, hey, look, Chaplain comes out and said, hey, look, mom's lost, blah, 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 blah. You went through this, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this is what you heard in the conversation. Meanwhile, um, little Bobo, whoever his name is, he's back there on life support. They know he's brain dead. They know he's gone. But we're keeping organs alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the only way a billionaire in New York can live, and he can pay for everything but health. He needs a heart, and this might be his. He might have a rare um, blood type that might be O negative or O positive or something like that, right? But now little Bobo passed away. He fits the heart that he might need. So then
Mm-hmm.
that billionaire give the organ program, almost said the organ program gives them maybe $5 million contribution for this heart. But the family, I'm meeting with the family, but the family can't afford even a cremation service.
Damn. Yeah.
No benefit to the
Wow.
people being good by heart, good by nature, being God fearing, to say, hey, look, we're going to part him out like a 57 Chevy back here. And the family gets no benefit, but the program gets 5 million, 10 million, whatever it is, and the record
To keep
industry.
doing what they do. Yeah. Keep doing what they do. So
It's business. So because of our lack of knowledge, we don't understand. Each one of these people have these folks have their investments within private prisons. So if I'm a farmer, I want to see corn. If I'm planting corn seeds, I need to see corn. So now it's this big old gammon, this big old game that they're doing off the backs and the traumatic trauma that's happening in the African American community, and we're left holding the bag trying to deal with it with funding cuts that we're now starting to deal with now through the presidential candidate that was selected. And so now we're dealing with funding cuts and trying to handle trauma, and every community is impacted by it.
yeah. Whew. That is deep.
Drop heavy stuff on you just then.
Yeah, that was. So let me see. I'm trying to sit here and see. So, okay, so I have another question. So with our people, African American people, Black people, whatever you want to call them, do you feel that because you stated it a little bit earlier, but we didn't touch on it, that we do too much for the person that passed away, like we want to go all out, you know what I'm saying? Do you feel like as a funeral director, you kind of said that, but even if we have the money, do we go all out?
I think you should go out the way you live, just the way you live. If you are all out person, then you should go out like that. You should have the finances in place to be able to go all out at the end of life, right? Um, when you look at a repast to feed everybody, you're looking at anywhere from $17 to $25 a plate. You know, if 100 people, that's $2,500 that you need to have in place to feed everybody. You know,
Right.
um, I mean, you should get the horse and carriage if you live the life. The problem is that we haven't made any impact or imparted anything in life to deserve sometimes to deserve this type of service. It's my personal opinion. I mean, because what we're doing is, like for our younger folks, I mean, you haven't even lived. You know, you haven't, we don't put enough emphasis on the living part. I get so frustrated with seeing more of African American people celebrating dead folk. They're celebrating folks when they lived. And I always say, if this person had a got this much family and from friends and from the community while they were living, they probably wouldn't even be dead.
Said that is
You
most
know,
definitely the truth right there. I
I
can
watch
concur with that. Like, yeah,
many people talk to dead bodies. This person can't hear you love them. I mean, you got to say that while a person living. You got to tell a person, hey, look, I'm proud of you. I'm
yeah,
really proud of you. If you need me, I'm truly going to be here for you.
yeah,
So get back to that family support, you know, an uncle being an uncle, an aunt being an aunt. Sometimes mom might be overwhelmed. She might need that break. You know, she might need that uncle to step in, her brother to step in and say, hey, look, I'm going to be the man in your life. I mean,
yeah,
wearing mentors out. I always hear him say, man, we need another mentor. You wearing mentors out. You know, this mentor got to take care of his own family, plus now put a carload of kids inside of his car and take away from his own family time. And that's frustrating for a family too.
yeah, yeah. I could see that. So, with most people, would you say most people have insurance and enough, or most people don't?
Most people don't have anything. Most of us in the African American community, I mean, you got to look at it across the board with Americans. Most Americans have less than $1,000 in checking or savings for any emergency. Most Americans. So, and I read a statistic that said that 70 to 80% of Americans have less than $1,000 in checking or savings. Okay, and so I mean, for any type of tragedy that happens, and I always tell people, death never happens in the opportune moment. It happens when you then went and bought a car, you just spent money on getting a new addition to your home, or you just traveled or something. Then bam, it happens. And so you need to have some money or some insurance in place. And I always tell people, if you can't get the 20 or the 30 or the 40 or the $50,000, get your $4,000. At least you give your family a start.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, with you selling insurance, Sean, and being an insurance agent and actually teaching and things like that, if you look at a person's income, can you base that on what insurance they should have, or what do you look at to determine how much insurance person needs? Say not for me, because you can look at me and you can say, hey, you got this house, you got this car, we want to cover these things, we want to cover these kids, things like that. But say for my child that may be 20, how do you determine like what factors do they need? Is it just I need enough to put them in the ground? Or should I be trying to get enough to put them in the ground and put some away as well?
So in doing insurance and me doing it for a while, um, and that's why I like to have multiple companies attached with what I'm doing, right? Because it's not a one size fit all. Everybody's situation is different. You might be, the person might be 20 years old, but they might be married and they might have three kids, right? And they might have a
Mhm.
home. I have a home. So they might, so then we might want to couple a term policy and mix it with the whole life policy. So
Okay.
insurance is upon health and age, right? And so getting it younger going to be a lot cheaper than getting it older and with health conditions. So getting that whole life policy that covers you your whole life, then you pay a little bit on that. But getting that term policy, which is going to be cheaper, and term meaning temporary. So we might have this for 30 years, but it's going to cover you while your children are young, and it's going to cover you and your wife if something would happen to you, to pay off the home, pay off the car. If she decides she don't want to go to work for 6 months, she has money that can say, hey, look, I don't want to go to work. You're not going to force me to go to work. My husband was a great person and I'm in grieving now, right? And
Yeah.
she can afford to, I'm going to take this time off personally. And so a lot of people just don't see the way. A lot of agents don't propose it in that type of way when they're working with their clients. But I always train my agent look at it in that perspective, to not go in with commission breath to just get you a check, but make sure you're really looking at it in a holistic effect to be able to provide these services and products for this family, that it can sustain them for the long term and not just for a funeral. Because insurance is the fastest way for generational wealth.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Say it again. Say it one more time for me.
the fastest way to generate. And so I was working with an Indian family and doing some insurance with our group. And immediately our group started talking about funeral cost. And it was like, no, we don't do insurance like that. What we do is we take out an insurance policy on the oldest person in the family, right? And they might take out $1 million or $5 million policy out. It might cost them $1,000 a month, but
Okay.
the family will take on that cost, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and they might pay $100 or $200 a month for that policy, right? But when grandma dies, they cash
Yep.
out $1 million. Now they put that into a business. So it might be a new gas station or
Mm-hmm.
convenience or some other type of business. And they repeat that process over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's through crowdfunding, and that's what it's called. As crowdfunding, economic crowdfunding, they see the generational benefit because now that death is not a death anymore. It's really to help the living.